Morning, Chris.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Jackson County Board of Supervisors meeting for Tuesday, October 15th of 2024. We will call our meeting to order, and with us today, we have Don Schwenker.
Good morning.
Dan Flegel, myself, Mike Steinitz are your county supervisors. Lisa is our county auditor.
Good morning.
Bjorn is here with the IT department. Luann is our executive assistant. And I'm gonna say Brittany and Mary are here from the media. I had a little test before.
Brittany, we kind of thought she scared you away. You missed you last week,
I had vacation.
So welcome, and first on our agenda this morning is Julia Fern, our Drug Free Communities Project Coordinator. Good morning.
Good morning. Also with us is Courtney Keller.
Good morning, Courtney.
So Courtney is a teacher at Easton Valley, and she went to the training in Dover, New Hampshire this summer with me. And you had asked for some information, so Courtney joined us to share how she's using that information at Easton Valley.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, good, it's working because I had trouble earlier. So like Julie said, I had the pleasure of going to Dover with her this summer, and wow, did it open up a world of opportunities for our school. So we really didn't have a program, and so I wasn't even sure where to start. And so going to this just gave me like confidence that you could start small and grow big. They gave me resources. Julie has the book in front of her. I have a drive at work actually that I've used several times to print off different information and get kids excited about different programs. One of the biggest things we're doing right now currently that's in the work is I have an I-STEP group that for Red Ribbon Week, our high schoolers are going to go to the elementary school and do a skit called Samantha Skunk. And so there's two different skit options. And for the younger kids, we're doing one about the dangers of taking medications out of your parents' medicine cabinet, and how they can make you sick and you should never take anything that a doctor doesn't give you. And then the older one is about the dangers of like vaping and getting your oxygen and things like that. Vaping is what our school has kind of chosen as our main tackle point for this year. So while we were in Dover, they just gave us a ton of like different resources and different ways to get the kids to be confident in themselves, to share that confidence about how not necessarily being negative about vaping, but about showing the positives of not vaping. They don't want to make people who do vape look like the bad guy. They want to make people who don't vape look like the good guy, if that makes sense. So that was a huge, like giving them the tools as far as like, this isn't just about presenting the information, it's about how you present the information. So that was a big talking point that I took away. I don't know, Julie, do you have anything?
They spent a lot of time just teaching us how to get kids engaged, not just us talking at them. So that training in Dover, it was led by for 4 days, kids trained adults and how to get kids engaged and what works with kids and how to get kids to care and how to get kids to hear you. So this is the binder. These are all different programs and activities. We can take them. They're all editable to put our information in them. So I'm doing it in Bellevue, Courtney's doing it in Easton Valley, and Red Ribbon Week, our kids are going to be going into the schools. So we're covering Easton Valley, Bellevue, and Andrew and doing programming, and it's all out of here. It's their stuff. But a lot of it is public speaking, because having kids with a good message, if they don't know how to get it across, is pointless. So it's teaching the kids how to be public speakers, giving them confidence to be public speakers, teaching them substance abuse prevention. So when they tell the kids, why they shouldn't vape, they're giving them good information. So it kind of gave us a starting point. We just took last week kids to Des Moines to the Iowa conference, and they got to learn about vaping and be with other kids from the state. And our kids are really excited to be there, and they were nervous, but then they realized they knew as much as else, and that was exciting for them.
What kind of age group are we talking about?
6 to 12 grade.
Okay. And how many students are involved in this type of program? When you say you're going to Bellevue, you're doing it in Easton Valley. How many?
I have 17 kids in Bellevue.
Okay. Ranging from 6 to 12.
Don't have any 12th graders, so it's 6 to 11.
Okay.
12th would be welcome, I just don't happen to have any. And how many do you have right now?
Like I said, we're new to this. Julie's been doing it a couple years, but I think right now I have about 10, I would say. And I have ninth through 12th graders. I haven't approached junior high yet because I teach mostly high school age kids, but I will be talking to the junior high kids soon.
Well, in Easton Valley is 7 to 12, sixth grades over at the elementary.
Yep.
So it's
Yep.
just a little different.
One of the positives of being there too, like we got to ask the kids questions in Dover, and one of the questions that we asked was like, what made you want to join Dover Youth to Youth, which is their like I-Step program, or their like you call it a SAD group in Bellevue, I think. And it was amazing how many of them said that like this Samantha Skunk skit that we're gonna present. Is that what you're doing in Bellevue too?
We are.
I don't know. Okay.
Yeah.
One of the things they said was that they remember seeing that Samantha Skunk that skit when they were in like first or second grade, and that what made them want to continue doing this into high school. And these kids are so well spoken. You could throw any wrench at them, and their public speaking skills are amazing. And it's all through this. They're so passionate, and it's all because of it started with Samantha Skunk. Like, who would have thought a skit about a skunk would make that big of a difference, but it did. So having like that tool to like engage them from that young age, and then they encourage like intermingling with the kids, like their group has a lot to do with the DARE program and things like that. So having that piece to bring them all the way up gives us, hopefully we can get them at a younger age and then keep them in our group to help spread the word.
So this might be a silly question. So how long a skit is this? Is this something that we could be invited to if it's going on in the middle of the day and I'm sitting at home and I'm going, well, I'm gonna go see this skit. I can see what I get out of it.
We can invite you.
I don't know what Samantha looks like. I'm not so
Yeah,
big on skunks, but you know.
Yeah, they get a half hour with the kids, because you're talking kindergarten, these are little people, so your attention span.
Yeah.
So it's a half hour interaction with the kids. I can send
No,
emails.
but that could be interesting.
Sure.
I think to us to see what really is going on. I mean, last year, I think you brought a couple students in here, little older students, and they talked about their experience.
Mhm.
But I think to see it firsthand, maybe say, yeah, that was interesting, or, that was worthless to me, but
Well, I mean, it's developmentally appropriate. So kindergarten is very basic. I mean, it's not gonna be super technical, but you
Yeah.
start them early with the
It's
conversation.
kind of basic, yeah, I can relate to that.
But then again, you have the older kids get the second one, and then when you're middle school, you're doing different things. So, because you try to reach them where they're at.
Hey Julie, you guys said you're in Easton Valley, you're in Bellevue, you're in Andrew.
Mhm.
What about the other?
I had a meeting with Tara Notes, Mark Burbeck, and Mr. Brockaway, I forget his title. Like at-risk coordinator or something. So Riley is gonna start a group, and we're gonna support him at Macokota. He's also a coach, so it's not probably gonna happen till November. So he's the football coach. It's just the reality of life. But they have agreed to start a group there, and we would provide support and funding from the grant if needed. But Mr.
So, yeah, maybe whenever this is going on, just send us an email and see what, if it's on our calendars or we got time or whatever, maybe it's something we could sit in on quietly, listen.
Sure. Yeah, Samantha Skunk, so when she takes the medication, she changes colors. And that, because she's sick, and so it's a fun, but it's the whole taking medications on our ears can make you sick. I mean, it's very simple, but the skunk is cute, and of course it catches their attention.
You got Easton Valley and Bellevue covered. Does Macokota not want to participate yet, or they don't have a?
They are, so Tara Notes invited us in, I met with her, Mr. Verbeck, and then Mr. Brockaway he's an at-risk coordinator or something.
Yep.
And whatever his title is. After football season, he's gonna lead the group for the rest of the school year. So we will support him the same way and provide him the materials,
Okay,
because we have them.
cool.
Okay, any questions?
Thank you for the opportunity to go. It really was, it's funny, I've told people around the state, and now there's other groups going, because getting kids, because they said it a couple times, I think Courtney would agree, it's not, you don't tempt them with, if you join us, you get to go on a trip next summer. It's, it's not about that stuff. They have to want to be there because they want to be leaders, they care about their peers, and finding that, niche and getting them invested. And so that was really helpful
And
for us.
they really get to design this whole thing around what's important to them. How do they want to present it? We give them ideas, but like our group wants to do a popcorn thing too. So we're going to do a popcorn where we hand it out with different facts about vaping and like it gave us the tool to have all these ideas and we just show the kids like, hey, these are our options and the kids take it and make it their own. It's not me, it's the kids doing it.
Yeah, we give them boundaries and keep the cats herded.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess, there are different times we question some of these trips or whatnot, so it's nice to have an insight of why and where, and if we can't get a little closer. to it.
What's coming out of them,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's worth it. So, cool.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Courtney.
Thank
Thanks, Courtney.
you.
Have a good day.
You too.
Okay, next on our agenda, are there any visitors or citizens present or either online or present that would like to approach the board? Seeing or hearing none, Mr. Tom Devine, our Jackson County Tourist Association Director. Wow,
You're ready for me, all right.
what's up?
Well, tourism is up, so that's a good thing.
Well,
These are numbers that,
you're welcome.
these are numbers that Nin had asked me to put together. Just found a way to get those numbers. I'd mentioned to her that we didn't have the actual numbers yet, but we found a way to get those numbers. The actual numbers are coming out Thursday. We have a webinar with the tourism office, the state tourism office. But tomorrow the county numbers are coming out, so it's a day, it always happens every time I give a report to you in the fall that the numbers come out a couple days later. But indication from the state office is statewide, the numbers are up a little over 5%. And we'll have like I said, we'll have the county numbers on Thursday when they reveal all of that. These are numbers that are derived from our, I've mentioned our ITIP that we're members of and strongly encourage. It's like what Eastern Iowa Tourism was years ago. ITIP has taken over that. So you were members of Eastern Iowa Tourism at that time. And so I strongly encourage you to be a part of that ITIP, which is our partnership that works with the state office. They're our liaison, as it were. And they have this calculator.
Tourism International something, or what is that?
It's Iowa Travel Industry Partners. And I talked to Chelsea LaRue, is the director of that. I talked to her yesterday, just checked to see where we were and we've got a push going to get the counties involved as well. Because it kind of dropped off when it took over for Eastern Iowa Tourism. So strongly encourage you that's I think $500 for you guys.
So there's really no titles above these columns, so I'm assuming number of events is like.
I'm sorry, I didn't include that. Yes, the first one, I set my print area and didn't go up high enough. Sorry about that. Yes, the first column is number of events. And the second column is the days of those events. The third column is the impact per day total.
Per day,
Per day, yes.
and that's just on Jackson County?
Are we talking 290,000?
Yes, we're talking 290,000. And per year, and then the final column is the non-regional impact. It splits out what we call regional is everything from Dubuque.
So it's impact per day, impact per year.
These numbers are the whole year.
No, you kind of skip, I'm just making sure I got so
Yeah,
it's the days of it, number of events, days of the event,
Right.
impact per day. What's the next one?
impact per year.
Impact per year.
Yeah.
And the last one?
Is the non-regional impact. And non-regional is anything outside of an area from Dubuque to Iowa City, Cedar Rapids, Quad Cities, down to Clinton and across the way. Okay, so it's the number of dollars coming in from Rockford and Madison, Des Moines, those things. We did numbers on everything, stock car races, rodeo, bingo, kennel club, Klein Classic, fair, wood covers, weddings in the World of Outlaws. Didn't do numbers on the Iowa Dirt Nationals, that's this weekend. The muster on Macokota, which was pretty much, historical society. And then, miscellaneous events like pancake breakfast and dart tourney, we didn't put those in.
Did this include both rodeos?
It include both days of rodeo. No, it didn't.
Bellevue.
No, it didn't include Bellevue. Cause that wasn't fairgrounds.
This is just fairgrounds?
This is just fairgrounds.
Oh, that
Yeah.
is-
So I guess,
This event is
I,
fairgrounds.
so basically, when I reached out to Tom, I was reaching out from the fairgrounds side because they're trying to do some
Okay,
grants
well, it doesn't say that on here.
and
I'm
fundraising.
sorry, yeah.
fair enough. And I guess I wanna just ask how these numbers are. Cause I look and it says the World of Outlaws, impact per day, 291,000. Is that how much your advertising reached? Or, cause 291,000 people didn't show up that day.
No, that's
So,
that's the dollar impact that it
Oh,
has.
so
to
this
our
is all
area.
in dollars.
Yeah, all in dollars, yes.
Alright.
And these are formulas that, the ITIP and Iowa State University Extension, they came up with these formulas to fit into this calculator that we use from ITIP. And it gives, things like, how much is spent on an average per day in a motel or hotel or camping. How much is spent at, Fairway or the grocery stores, how much is spent at convenience stores or on gasoline. That's another big one. Restaurants, hotels, or restaurants and beverages. That's
Excuse me.
another.
Mary? I can't hear either.
I can't understand, him, so go ahead. We're
Well,
trying to
ask
figure
the
out what
question when
this-
we're
Okay,
available
you
here.
guys go ahead. How does this non-regional, what does the word impact mean? Is that money that comes in? You talked about non-regional being outside the region.
Of
so
that-
Not money that's spent at the fairgrounds.
Of that $4.296 million, that is the economic impact, total economic impact to Jackson County from the fair. 1.5 of that comes from people outside of this immediate region.
Okay.
That's like Rockford, Des Moines, all those other areas.
And it's not money spent at the fair, it's
No,
spent throughout
it's,
the
it's
community.
economic impact to the whole community.
But from
Yes,
it's only activities at the fairgrounds.
yes, these are only activities at fairgrounds, right?
So it could be the fact they come here for the rodeo and then they go over to offshore and have lunch.
That's the
Exactly.
prime example, exactly, yeah.
There's $12 in non-regional impact from bingo.
Yes.
Something came from out of the region and place
That's
somewhere.
per year. There you go.
That's 1,200, ain't it? Come on. that's 1,200.
148 events.
That's the board of drive here.
Well,
Yeah.
somebody bought a Dover somewhere else,
Yeah.
you know?
You don't have many people come from outside of this region for bingo, so. There was one. They had to come.
It's a positive, right?
Yeah.
There's your no.
So,
Next year they may bring somebody else.
so I hope that answers, what you were looking for, Nan, and,
So-
it's, like I say, it's exciting to see.
I mean, you're talking fairgrounds here now, and that makes a difference to what this
Yes.
report is.
Yes,
So you're saying the countywide report's coming out next week? is
that's
that-
coming out this Wednesday. Yeah, they'll have the
Okay,
numbers
come
for the
back
county
next week
tomorrow.
with that.
Yeah, I'll send that to you. Thursday, we'll have a national report from the state. And last year, I don't know if you remember, but last year we were like 38.6 million.
Yeah, when I go to
economic
tell
impact.
somebody that, they say, you are too kooky in the head, and I said,
Uh-huh.
well, I'm just telling you, that's what the numbers are.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know.
Well, and 1.3 million to our local taxes, and that's hard and fast, so, yeah. Those numbers are.
So again, if you're gonna send that report, yeah, have some description of what numbers mean what.
You bet, yeah, yeah, I'll pull it apart and, put it.
Well, that report's coming from the state though?
Yes,
Well, I'm sure it's gonna be.
yeah, it'll be fun to read, so.
Be thorough.
Yeah. Oh, yes, it'll give you everything.
Any big events coming up?
No, last night, we had a big event. We partnered with the city of Macokota for the First Impressions program. And it was the pilot program. This is the first time they've ever done it, Iowa State University Extension. And this was their first presentation. So, we were happy to be that guinea pig and got some really great, feedback from them. A lot of good, a lot of suggestions of how we can improve one. And you had input and I'd be encouraged to hear what you have to say. But my takeaway from it is one of the main things that we need to work on is cross promotion. We need to make people that are out of the caves aware that there are things to do in Macokota and they need to come in Macokota when they're not walking through the caves. As well as cross promotion from when they're at, and brewery does it very, very well. When they're at the brewery, they tell them, oh, Make a Splash is just down the road. You can go shop down there, or there's other Humming Arrow or other places to shop. One thing that we really need to work on is the fact that, the hours that people are open was hard for them to find. And a lot of times they came in and found out they were coming in for, to go shopping and it wasn't open. So we'll work with the chamber and I are in tourism. We're gonna work with these people and let them know what those challenges are and, try to work it in.
Some of that information is applicable, and even though Bellevue and Fresno wasn't included in that,
It's,
their similarities can be.
Very true.
you know,
Yeah.
they really hit on, people are looking at Facebook to find your hours or your website, and, if you're reaching your hours, that's fine, but don't forget that you posted them on these sites, so make sure you're going to these sites and changing your hours. Or if you're changing your menu, update your menu so that it correlates with what's out there, because that's what people are looking at to figure out where they're going. I like that they really hit on what's the state website, Travel Iowa.
Mhm.
That, that's a place that a lot of people are going to, if they want to come to this area, they're going to Travel Iowa, looking up Macokota, looking up Bellevue, whatever. And that's a free website that people can advertise on, and they really hit that. And I kind of get on the fairgrounds even a little bit about that. If you have a picture, it's gonna draw somebody to go there and read more. If you just have wording, they're gonna flash by it type of thing. So it was kind of hitting on getting modern pictures and things like that out there. So Travel Iowa is a good place for any business in Jackson County to get out there and get their business known.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I preach all the time is businesses and it says they can get out and put their business on free of charge. They just got to do it. And I tell all the tourism members, if you don't know how to do it, I'll come and help you do it. Or I have 4 or 5 of them that I do myself, that Hurstville Lime Kilns. Who does that? So I put it on there, and all I got to do is update it once a year to keep it active. So, but other than that, nothing really big coming up. We've in the last 2 weeks of our grant program, October 31st is the deadline for our mini grants, and we're getting applications in for those for some really neat promotional ideas. As you know, all of the dues that we receive go back out in that mini grant. So we're anxious to award those in November. We moved that up this year. It was usually in February. Well, it was March 1st to April 15th. But we decided to move it up so that people can plan a little bit better for next year, what they want to do for promotions and advertising. So they'll have the money to do it. Yeah.
You talked about putting that on this Travel Iowa site and things like that. So we have found in several small businesses that I'm associated with that we use a lot of the high school kids, and they're amazing with their ideas and what they can do with this technology. And and they really want to come to these businesses and help out. I mean, it's not the compensation, but it's their work, and that's what they do, and they feel good about it. But they got a lot of good ideas, So use it. I would call the schools and use their IT department and or their business department, if it will, and see if they wanna help out.
The thing about that, Mike, is that they have to keep up on it year after year, and if they graduate, they gotta find somebody else to
Yeah,
do
I
it.
know, but
And
they
it's a
catch
5-minute
on in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's a 5-minute
But
project.
if you don't know
Well,
how
that's a
to do
2-hour
it,
project
have
for
a high
us.
school.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's different.
yeah. No, it's a 5-minute for me, so it's a 5-minute for you too.
But if you have a high schooler get it started and then you just gotta, they show you how to go in there and update your hours or update your menu.
And that's what I've offered all
You know.
along, and I still don't have
So.
people say.
But a
"I
lot
want
of
you
it's
to put
done
one on."
remotely too.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So,
And I'm gonna really put a push to, one of the things is the pictures on there, that's really important. We had, this last year, we had an influencer, we paid an influencer through our co-ops to come in and did a fantastic, tour of Jackson County and has posted that, and that's gone viral. So those types of things, we've really got to push a little bit more.
I agree.
Yeah.
No, I seen that video. It was pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, you did a great job. Yeah. Well worth it.
Any questions for Tom? Yeah, keep us posted with that new report, and if we need to have you back or
Absolutely.
whatever, we'll touch base, I guess.
Sounds good.
How long you around for yet?
Friday, I leave Friday.
Load the horses up, huh?
Load 'em up. Here we go. It's cold. I had both furnaces on last night. It's cold.
It'll be 75 by Monday.
warm.
Yeah, that's right. It usually does. Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you very much.
Thank
You
you.
bet.
Have a
Good
good
to see
trip.
you.
Okay, next on our agenda is Becca. Becca is from our assistant administrator, assistant to the Jackson County. Well, she does a couple different things. She's been with zoning and it says health and environmental health. Yeah. Well, good morning.
Good morning. That's a tough act to follow.
Yeah,
Interesting stuff.
You might want to pull that up. Just. I would say, you got an address?
Yes.
Sorry. That's stupid.
23852 362nd Avenue in Spokane.
23852.
23852, yes.
Okay. It's the one on the north side, I think, yeah.
Okay, I need to share it first.
That one. That the one? Yeah.
That throws me with the two screens now. Where is she?
Yeah, is that,
I
I
forget
was
about
gonna
that.
ask
I
before
forget
when I
about
was
that
there.
because when they're sitting there, they're always looking straight at Don.
Mary, is that
Say,
screen
I feel
okay? You
kinda
want me to pull the
self-conscious
shades?
and stuff.
Your shades don't need to be. Okay, I think we're ready.
Okay. The applicant is requesting that a minor subplat split 2 acres around the house and building for future sale.
So we got a total of how many acres there? What's it say, the partial report?
5.42. So they're splitting off 2 acres off of that
So that's the-
5.42.
Started with 5.42, and what are they surveying on?
2.8,
Okay.
what was it? I didn't print that off. Is that the
Two
only copy you
exactly.
have, Becca?
I
That
have been
map?
requesting 2. Did you get it?
So I sent you the resolution
Yeah.
last night, okay.
I seen this map.
2.6 acres is
Yeah.
what they're surveying on.
Yeah.
Saw that one. Do you want to see it again?
No, somebody else want to see it? I mean, it shows where the house lays. Basically, they're going from the road up around the house, correct?
Correct.
Which. I mean, I don't have any opposition to it. Is there a recommendation from the zoning board? To approve?
To approve.
So moved.
I'll second that.
So this is a resolution that you're passing today. It's resolution 1073-10-15-2024.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second to approve resolution 1073-10-15-2024 as presented for a minor subdivision to Matusick Place Lot 1. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. That's it?
Thank you, that's it.
That was.
That was hard.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks you.
Have a good day, Beck. Lisa?
This morning, I need a motion to approve the minutes of the October 8th, 2024 board proceedings as written by Auditor Smith and authorized publication in the official newspapers.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the minutes from the October 8th, 2024 board proceedings are written by Auditor Smith and publication in official papers. All those in favor say aye. Aye, opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
I need a motion to accept and place on file the Veterans Affairs Commission meeting minutes for the September 11th, 2024 meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Get a motion and second to approve the Veterans Affairs Commission meeting minutes for September 11th to 24. All those in favor say aye. Aye, opposed. Motion carried.
That's all that I have today for board business. I did receive a phone call from Nate at Conservation. The bid opening for the Prairie Creek project is November 14th. And Josh from the city of Macokota would like everybody to get together on the 15th, November 15th. I'd reserve the conference room the community room downstairs, so we can talk about how the bids came in and where the project goes. So if you could please put that on your calendar for November 15th at 9 o'clock. And then if you feel obviously the bid opening on the 14th is a public bid opening. You'll be discussing those same bids on the 15th.
Is that the City Hall or where is that?
The bid opening, I believe, is at City Hall, yes. But the meeting on the 15th will be here.
Right.
Based on this, yeah. So, Nate was, he wanted to know if he needed to be back in on the board on that following Tuesday to discuss the bids, but I think everybody's invited to the bid opening, so everybody knows what the bids are, come on the 14th.
Well, I think if we open the bids and we can digest them a little bit, and I don't know if it has to be the next week, but it could be the week after,
Well,
or we set up a special
I know
meeting.
the city is in a push.
Well, I know there's a time frame on it too, yeah, so,
So that's just a kind of a heads up.
yeah.
And Mary, for you, I guess I'd like to say that on October 24th, it's a Thursday. At 9 o'clock, we will be doing and starting our public test for the elections.
Oh.
Seems like this year that's been a discussion that I've entered into with quite a few people, so just so everyone is aware. Here in the courthouse.
I actually seen some on the news, they were testing and people were coming and watching it and
So
testing.
you know what, we have public notice that's been sent to the newspaper.
Nice.
We let everybody know, but it's something this year that seems to be of importance to people. We always do public testing with all of our elections. So I'm just kind of giving that to you. So if you want to come and see what happens, you're more than welcome, and anybody is more than welcome.
So there's also a note here regarding the 911 services. Is there a work session gonna be set up or? are we
The
looking-
question is, when do you want to do it? I can't commit to Wednesday. They wanted me to commit to Wednesday.
This says Thursday or Friday.
So I said, I can't do Wednesday. We really should be busy. So now the question is, I believe that we need to get together and talk about the future of the 911, where that's headed. There again, Josh is requesting this from the city of Macokota. I don't know what your thoughts are concerning this, and I think there are a lot of questions that need to be answered. So they'd like to meet this week.
Well, I think we should actually meet and discuss it if we have time. I would like to have a work session either with Josh or with whoever's, should be involved, should it be emergency management, because there could be legislation coming down the pipe. It could be somebody from the 911 board who, obviously, this is what it's about, communications.
Right.
So that's what the 911 board does, is communication, so.
yeah, I wasn't sure if you as a board wanted to meet to discuss this before meeting with the city and the attorneys. I mean, my opinion is there's a lot of things that
So
need to
I
be
read the
discussed.
draft and I
Yeah.
have some questions that I noted, and
Yes.
I guess that's what we should probably all do is read the draft. They have questions and.
So I guess if you want to meet with the city, I can convey that to Josh, or if you want to meet amongst yourselves, have a work session. You know what, so it's
I don't think
something.
there's sense in doing it twice, is there?
Well, this week is bad for me,
Oh, wait.
Okay.
you know, next week and the week after, it's probably getting worse for you. But
I
I'm out
anticipate
of town
Wednesday to
all
be
day
a very,
Thursday.
but I think you as a board need to have a
Yeah.
direction before we move to the next step. So that's my 2 cents is that, I know that Josh probably is on a little bit different time frame than what we are, but I think this is a very long-term.
So, I mean, in speaking with, you know, so one of the mainstays at the PSAP, if you wanna call it, I mean, he says it's working. You know, so it's working, you know, it's, I don't know where the direction we need to.
And I can't give you an analysis of what this is gonna cost the citizens of Jackson County. Because this, if you're going to levy, so you can either levy, which means it goes across the board and everybody's gonna pay based on their valuation and the rollback and such. Or if all of a sudden you're gonna have like an assessment per city, and then per rural.
So I don't think it can go on the value. I think it has to go, we talked about this several times. It's gotta be per capita, either per, you know, if it's a county capita, if it's a small city capitas, and if there's, throw some wild, I don't know, maybe we should be
See,
talking
if
about
we
it.
go per capita, Macokota needs to bill every town and us and do it, and that's kind of what's set up now, just you would change the percentage.
Percentage.
If it goes up property value, then we end up doing it and going to them, but we are not going to bill every town per capita just to give it to them because that's what they don't want to do.
Well, you
That's
can't
what
go
we're
off
talking about,
property
Larry.
value for a 911 call, or, I mean, it's not, why would I pay more if my property's worth more? Or somebody else pay more because they're making one call a year,
But that's the way it's set up right now.
Yeah.
That's why you need to make it, this is the problem. I mean, because that's the way that it is set up right now, to be a levy. And if it's a levy, it goes against valuation. So yes, you are gonna pay more than,
But it could be a levy per capita.
how are you gonna do that? No, you can't do that, because then you're talking about, you'd have to do an assessment.
Yeah.
You'd have to say that Andrew has 100 people and they're gonna pay $500.
Yeah.
Well, so then you're assessing the city of Andrew, so that's why
You're assessing it as per population, yeah.
Yeah, then Andrew
That's
would
not the
have
way
to
it's set up.
include that in their budget to collect that money to reimburse it back.
But they're doing it now, they're paying, that somebody's paying, they're all paying, we're
not
doing it.
everybody's paying.
Not everybody.
Not everybody's paying right now.
Well, it's a benefit for the whole county, so somehow we're gonna have to
And that's
decide
why
what,
he wants a levy across the whole.
and it
county.
has to be there, so,
Not an assessment. He is proposing a levy.
yeah, I know.
Maybe we
And
should
they
have a
talked
work
about it
session
at
next
the,
Tuesday. If we don't have that much of a meeting.
I'm just, I mean, that's the problem. is
yeah, I
that-
don't care, I mean, you don't have time Thursday then either, correct?
I'm out of town.
Okay. Well, I guess that's our best option then is to, if we wanna have more discussion on it, is to set up a work session so we can talk.
Okay,
I mean, we can talk here amongst us, but again,
so are you thinking maybe potentially next Tuesday,
I do.
talking with Josh or talking amongst yourselves?
I'd say Josh could be present.
Okay. so
I mean,
I'm-
and invite whoever, if we're gonna invite somebody from the PSAP
Well,
or
that-
invite emergency management, I mean, obviously, this whole thing could go through emergency management. What the levy is at state talking about.
well, that's the other thing, I mean, is this all just for a 6-month?
Yeah, is it all, yeah, that's what we talked about the last time.
Right.
Let's see what the session brings. I mean, obviously, it's on the agenda.
The problem with that though is that Josh doesn't want it to stay the same for his next
Well,
budget. session.
If
We
we
want
can
it all
come to,
done. I'm just saying, that's why there's such a push right now. Is he
well,
wants it
then we
done.
need to talk, you know.
Okay, and just as, and I'm trying to stay on time here, and the other thing we need to talk about then is, because we are transitioning the the insurance at the fairgrounds from them paying the insurance to the county. We need to work on a lease. And so we need to come up with what we want in the lease. I can't
Okay,
go back.
so I mean, we have at least several different leases out there at this point. Can they
Didn't
kind
we
of
try
be
to get them kind of
standardized?
standardized?
I thought
We
we
need
did
to
that.
talk
I thought we did too.
at the fairgrounds.
No,
No.
I thought we kind of came up with a standardized lease.
We have a standardized lease, but I think we need to talk about a few things.
Okay,
And see, ICAP will not change this insurance over until we have a signed lease with the fairgrounds.
and when do they want us to renew? When is it? Third?
We
January?
renew in January at the
Okay,
fairgrounds,
We're
and
asking,
we renew in March.
we're asking
here
for
at
the
county.
insurance company to kind of bridge us over is what I've asked. We'll see.
So what basically are we trying to do? Are we trying to get our expenses back from the cost of what the insurance is? Is that what we're trying to even out?
I think what we need to try and make sure is that what does the county want to be responsible for, or you want to be responsible for nothing? So we have a lease that says the fair board's gonna pay for everything. Let's say the big show barn goes down. Okay, so we get the insurance money, now what? Who's gonna rebuild it? The other thing is, let's take the same show barn, it needs a new roof. Who's gonna pay for it? So that's why the lease is very important. What happens if the furnace goes out?
Well, I mean, we're talking about like Andrew Jackson thing for things. Yeah, they pay for this, we pay for that, 50-50, da. Yeah, I don't know.
We have no revenue.
I hear you.
So anyway, those are the decisions that you as a board need to make. We need to convey that to John so we can at least get a lease, at least moving forward, so it can be presented back to the fairgrounds, or they need to come in and you need to
So
have a
we have no revenue, but the fair board does have revenue.
Fred.
possible.
Well,
Depending on the year.
we should, yeah, depending on weather, well, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think just putting a new roof on.
Well, again, we maintenance that, so that's a maintenance thing and more than if it's an insurance thing. If the roof gets tore off, that's insurance, obviously, we're gonna fix it. So even if the show barn burns down, I guess obviously, well, not obviously,
So I
but
guess
you
what
would think we'd replace it. You know, whether half of that's in kind or whatever it might be, I don't know.
I think we need a work session on this and and whether the fair board is there or what,
So I would say, the fair board should get some of their thoughts together, and what they're thinking, and we should probably put together maybe how some of our current leases are and how it might work. Yeah, I know that everything's a little different as far as.
There needs to be some consideration into this lease in particular.
I wonder what other, there's gotta be other, I mean, there's county fairgrounds. I mean, how do they do it?
I can't answer that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's something we need to look into is to. Small, and I'm not saying Dubuque, but I'm saying smaller counties, be it have county fairgrounds, they all have almost a county fairground and.
I would have to reach out to Terry and see, you know.
So even reach out, I mean, maybe Jennifer has an idea of what other counties may be doing or could get some info on that because obviously there's gotta be, we ain't the only one doing it.
I think my first, if you want, I'll make my first phone call to Terry and see if she can, unless Danny, you wanna talk to her. At least maybe if we can get an idea of what other counties are doing and.
Yeah. Or even
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jennifer or
I just
somebody.
know that we can't get this done. ICAP will not do this unless we have a signed lease.
Okay, well, we'll get it done.
Okay,
Yeah, thank you.
that's all that I have for the board.
Okay, that was quick.
Yeah.
So I can reach out there because I do know they have, kind of like we have our
Association,
association thing,
people talk back
got-
and forth,
an email thing, they can go back and forth, so I'll
like a
reach
base
out.
camp or
Yeah.
something, yeah.
Reach out to Terry and have her put it out there and see what.
Yeah, no, I think that-
Yeah, I think that's
I
a great
talked to
idea.
Terry already, and so, yeah, I think that's appropriate.
And I would think the insurance company would have some say so in it too, or have an idea, you know.
And we want to protect ourselves as a county side, again,
Well, it's again, it's our property.
it's
so-
our property, it's, like you said, if the show barn goes down. You don't want the fairgrounds just to collect the money for the building and that.
But yet if we have to take the insurance money plus build it back,
Then you gotta do
Well,
that.
then, that's
Yeah.
another conversation, but,
that's why we need to, our lease is very important.
Right.
okay. Any other questions for Lisa?
No,
No? Becky? Join us, Becky Chapin, our Director of Human Resources. Good morning. Do we have your, agenda in hand?
I don't ever really do an agenda, I just type notes that I read from.
No, we don't get to see them except for the email last night, right?
Yep,
Okay,
if you would like a copy, I can always give you a copy, but it's the same thing I put in the email.
let's see where we need to
This
go.
one has that. All right, staffing changes. We have one of our PRN jailers, Tori Sullivan. He has resigned his position as an on-call jailer. So I would ask for a motion to accept the resignation of Tori Sullivan effective October 10th, 2024.
move.
Second,
Have a motion and a second to accept the resignations of Tori Sullivan as presented. All those in favor say aye. Aye, opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
And then we recently advertised with the opening of our new facility for on-call part-time and full-time jailers. We received 42 applications, which is the most that we have received for that position historically. And they have conducted interviews. To date, they have made a couple of internal transfers. So I would ask for a motion to approve Betsy Swisher going from PRN to permanent part-time effective October 13th, 2024.
Effective, in your email, you said 28
For Betsy or
Yes.
for Virginia.
for Betsy.
You said Betsy was, you said Virginia was the 13th, but
Betsy was the 28th.
I might have had the dates confused.
yeah, because
Okay, so Betsy is what date effective?
Hold on a second. I believe Betsy is October 13th, 2024.
so I know Virginia's was the 28th because she had, somebody had told me that she had to give 2-week notice. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I'm confident that it's the 13th for
Okay.
Betsy.
Okay. So,
second,
Motion and second to approve the hiring of Betsy Swisher as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
And I would ask for a motion to approve Virginia.
I'm sorry, is this a promotion or is this a?
It's a
hire?
transition. So, Betsy,
Yeah, so
Betsy
I,
was,
I don't know if it needs to be in the motion different than what I said. I said hiring, so I don't know if it's, yeah,
so Betsy Swisher is going from PRN to part-time.
so that's a
October 3rd. It's
promotion.
a transition.
Transition,
Yeah.
okay.
And then I would also ask for a motion to approve Virginia Brewer going from PRN to full-time effective October 28th, 2024.
so moved.
second,
Motion and second to approve Virginia Brewers transition as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carried.
And then there have been a few other conditional offers made, which we won't begin to approve until they've met all their pre-employment requisites. So those should be within the next, they have to do MMPI's physical, hearing and vision exams, and then driving records. So once those come back for the conditional offers, we'll be back in for approval for the other hires that they plan on placing in the new facility. So next I have Debbie Schrader has been with the Veterans Affairs Department for just under 10 years. She recently resigned her permanent part-time position. However, she has stayed on through the transition of new staffing within that department. Ruth, the new administrator, feels like they're pretty well set in the new roles to continue with just the support of other VA departments as throughout other counties. So Debbie's last day will actually be November 1st of 2024. So I would ask for a motion to accept the resignation of Debbie Schrader effective November 1st, 2024.
so move
Second.
with appreciation.
Have a motion and a second to accept the resignation, with appreciation to Debbie Schrader as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carried.
And then last but not least, a little bit of discussion on a county compensation board. In May of 2024, Senate File 2442 dissolved county compensation boards throughout the state of Iowa. And that was effective July 1st of 2024. In order for counties to reestablish a comp board, it takes action of each independent board of supervisors. There has been information provided by ISAC on how to accomplish that, including how to stagger terms of new officials. So every official's term is not 4 years starting July 1st of 2024 and expiring 4 years later. I did meet with each of the other 5 elective offices to have them draw for a 2 or 4 year term. So in the event the board is ready to establish a compensation board, the terms for each elective office representative will be set, and I have prepared a resolution accordingly. I don't know if you had any questions about that. Otherwise, I would ask for a motion.
As I read it, yeah, it's a simple motion that we can establish a board, correct?
Correct.
And then we can either retain or ask if the current board members would like to stay, or we can also have a new representative.
Every
correct?
elective office has to appoint new representatives, whether you appoint.
Reappoint the ones you,
Reappoint.
reappoint the
Yes,
ones you
as of
had
right now,
or
there
a
are
new.
0 representatives. Those all dissolved with the dissolution of the board.
Okay, so right now, we are considering retaining the comp board. That's the motion.
Establishing a comp board.
Establishing the
Yep.
comp board, yeah.
And it would be a resolution, so I do have a. If that's the direction you're gonna go, I would ask for a motion to approve resolution 1074, 1015-24, which is a resolution establishing a county compensation board. And this resolution it was drafted by ISAC, implemented with our county's information and the representative terms that were drawn by the elective offices. And this would be retroactive to July 1st of 2024.
I make
Okay.
a motion to approve.
Second.
The motion and a second to approve resolution 1074 10 15 2024 is presented. Any further discussion? So I would say yes. I have talked to the other elected officials personally. I have talked to the comp board. I think there were, in the last 2 or 3 years, there's been a tremendous amount of information given to them, and I valued their input. Now, go on to say that I feel like if we have a representative, I feel like I need to have a representative that knows what we do day in and day out, or what, I mean, somebody has an idea. I can't say that it should be one of the previous supervisors from years past. I don't know that, but I think that, there's people that make requests to be on the board, and I said, well, I have no opposition to that, but you really don't know what we do day in and day out, or, if I'm on the phone Sunday morning for 3 hours,
Yeah. And you as a board will appoint one representative for 2 years and one representative for 4 years. And there is information that I will send out. I had asked for each of the officials, I will send this resolution out to all the officials again today, but I have asked for their representatives back by October 22nd. That would give time to get information out to whoever the new representatives are, and they do already have a meeting set for the end of November.
So between the 3 of us, we need 2 representatives.
One for 2 years.
And do we amongst ourselves maybe have an idea who or somebody or some names, and then we
You
just
three.
discuss it?
You 3.
But we can't discuss unless we're here or
Work session.
work session or.
I would say that's probably accurate.
Yeah.
Or it's still good for
Participate.
us to come and say
Yeah.
to you that, I would put this name in as a possible representative, and then, I mean, you could compile that information also, like you.
And I will do standard information. However, the piece of the law that changed is that the representatives, the board now has to provide the Board of Supervisors documentation. They have to show their work. So they have to show you what comparables they used, and the law gives them. They have not updated the respective code section yet, but I will send them the information that changed, that shows the
So
pages in the.
with the expiration dates of these terms, they expire on July 1st, right? June 30th. or
Correct,
whatever. Is it set up so like one person will come on, will expire June 30th after Nin and I, either or whoever, we got elected together. And so we would have a chance to make an appointment before July 1st, because that person expires 6 months after we come on board. And then 2 years later, the other person will expire 6 months after, like Mike gets reelected this November. To me, that spot should expire June 30th of next year. Because that is that way that person has the representative versus there's times where somebody gets appointed. Let's say Lisa gets reelected, but the person or she doesn't get reelected, the new person comes in, the last person was appointed for whatever, is there that kind of accommodations in there?
No,
It doesn't run.
It
with
doesn't
the
go
term.
with the election, it goes with the office.
and that
As
was
an
the way the
example,
law was.
My appointment is a 2-year term.
Yeah.
So I'm elected for 4, my appointment is for 2
But
years.
still, they still expire on the June, and the office takes place on the 1st.
Yes, well, that was the intent of the legislation, because it doesn't represent you and you and you, it represents the functions of the office. So no matter who's in that position is who these representatives should be advocating for. And after these initials, so we'll have terms that will expire in June of 26, 26 and 28. every term that renews from there on out will be a 4-year term. So your 2 will be 4 years, hers will be everybody's. This is just to get the term staggered, so every representative on the board doesn't all expire in the next 2 or 4
And that's
years.
part of the legislation now.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, any other questions? So I have a motion on the table to establish a comp board with the resolution number that was stated. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye opposed? Motion carried.
And Lisa will get that to you on paper sign.
Cool.
That's all I have.
Okay,
Thank
have a
you.
good day.
Thank you.
Lisa, you were completed, correct?
Correct.
Luann? Do we know if Hanson's showing?
He's not, he said he would call in, I texted him earlier, and he said he could conference call, but he has never zoomed in on his laptop.
Which means we definitely have technical issues if we tried today, so.
Good morning.
Good morning. Okay, we'll start with the calendar for this week. First thing I have after today is Thursday, October 17th at 1 p.m. Is Grantwood Scenic Byway meeting by Zoom for NIN. And at 6 p.m. Thursday night is Limestone Bluffs RC&D meeting by Zoom for Dawn. Friday, October 18th from noon to 4 is the garage sale at the Law Enforcement Center Storage Building. NIN has volunteered to be out there. I volunteered to go out and help her that afternoon because I can't see that being a one-person job, but job is open.
I can say I might need a book.
Yeah, too. Okay, Monday, October 21st is a lot of things on the agenda. At 1:30 p.m. is a Waste Authority meeting of Jackson County at the transfer station for Mike. At 3 p.m. is an Eastern Iowa MHDS meeting in Davenport for Jack, and it's the alternate for that. 5:30 on Monday is the Together We Build board meeting for Don. At 6 o'clock is the public hearing on the wind energy ordinance at the Onward Center. For any of you that want to attend that. At 7 o'clock is the Together We Build steering committee meeting for NIN. And also at 7 o'clock is a zoning commission meeting, which follows the public hearing at the Onward Fine Arts Center. Okay. Our next regular meeting will be Tuesday, October 22nd at 9 a.m. And that afternoon at 5 o'clock will be a conservation board meeting at Hurstville. And at 6 o'clock will be a Macocata River Watershed Management Authority's annual meeting in Monticello. For any of you that want to go to that, Don, we usually would go to that, but any of you can go to that if you like. And that, I think, is all the business I have for you today.
Okay, any questions for Luann? Thank you. So, Lori and May are still scheduled to be here, is that correct?
Yes, I told her I'm ready for them early, but I'm not sure they can come early, so
They're
Okay,
zooming or are they,
they're gonna, I think May is zooming. I think they might both be zooming.
okay, so we know that John, it may try to Zoom yet?
no, he doesn't know, he can conference call if they want.
Oh,
Or do we see if he wants to show up? I asked him, can you be here next week? Because again, there's some deficiencies that we got in our report that need to be cleaned up from the state. According to the meeting we had last Tuesday, it looked like everything could be done by this Friday. So my question for him today, which talking to Jeff, it seems like there's been very little progress as to this date, but we can call and ask him where it's at, or we can just, I've been texting him saying, hey, where we at with this? What's going on? Is it still done by Friday? He hasn't answered, but he says, I guess I can drive down next week to attend if we needed. But we need to make a decision prior to that. I don't know what that means. He's talking about some plumbing. You know, he wants the garbage disposal, decision. And at this point, we can.
The garbage disposal is minor. We
Yeah.
need to get it so we can get people in the building.
I want the plumbing rerouted that needs rerouted. There's a few things like that need to be done, and Kraus said he could have it done by Friday, but I don't want,
We're at Tuesday and he hasn't started nothing yet, the
Right.
way it sounds.
Right, because he's waiting to know what garbage disposal we get, which doesn't make any sense to me, so.
So I would say that, we need to contact John. Somebody needs to contact John because progress has come almost to a halt. And apparently the plumber wants us to go through John. I don't know that it's gonna do much good to sit here and wait or try to have a conference call. I think you can relay the message just fine.
So I will talk to him to make sure we get it done. I told him, it's like, everybody needs to be done by Friday. And he goes, let me know if you want me down there next Tuesday. I'm gonna say, yes, I want to be here.
Next
So he-
Tuesday with stuff completed,
Yeah. Yes, be here.
because that's the common question of the community every time you run into anybody is, when are we going there? And it's to the point, it's hurting us as far as budget now.
So I told him yes to be here next Tuesday. And ensure that the items are completed.
So do we need to get the county attorney involved to either to draft something to say, you know, you have X amount of days or fines will be implemented, or can we do that even, or do we need to have this conversation, or?
But I don't know. I will know, I've had 4 people come up to me from the community hearing there are all kind of disastrous
And that's not
things
true.
going on in the jail, and I will put this out to the press and stuff, that is not true. There's a few minor plumbing deficiencies that need to be addressed, resecuring the kitchen sink to the wall. There was a few plumbing issues where 3 sinks got routed the wrong way, so they gotta change things around a little bit, but it's not what
It's
seemed
not
to
a
be.
disaster.
Yeah, it's not a disastrous type of thing, it's just rerouting of a few plumbing.
Seems disastrous.
Well, I'm gonna tell you when I knew Bill, you're gonna have more of them.
But when we first heard about it, it sounded like we were tearing up a lot of cement and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And come to find out that, no, they don't have to
We
do
learned
that.
last Tuesday after the meeting, I went over there and Cross came in and they checked it out and it wasn't near as bad, it was just changing a few. 3 sinks went into one drain, well, 1 sink needed to go in that drain, 2 sinks needed to go to another drain, and it's, a couple of drain lids were switched and
So trust me, you will have more of this when we open up.
Oh, I'm sure of that.
so.
And we have a year,
Depressing to drive by and see not one car in that lot.
we do have a year warranty on the building, so.
So. And it'll be nice to get it going. That's where I was hoping. Usually when John's on the schedule, the sheriff and them show up, and I was hoping to see what their timeline for,
Are they getting all trained?
yeah, training's done. The 4 deficiencies that were noted, one of those was training. There was a couple of intercoms didn't work quite right. One of the window protectors doesn't slide quite right, and the kitchen sink were the major hangups for the state inspector. All of which seem to be relatively minor things at this point. It's just getting.
They take the longest, those minor things.
Right. So, but it's.
Well, it's hard to get somebody back. It's,
For a minor thing.
For a minor thing.
Yeah.
That probably would take them.
So-
Including your construction manager.
so
Yeah.
do we need to have some
I would
teeth?
say yes.
Some teeth.
I don't know at what point.
Has the year started yet? I mean, has the year warranty started yet?
We haven't accepted the project as
Okay,
complete.
That was my question.
Yeah, we have not accepted the project as complete.
So,
And there's still payment due to yet, so. Things to consider.
Sure.
I mean, yeah,
Well, at this
basically,
time,
I would like to hold any more payments to anything down there until.
How much does it total, you suppose? Anybody have any rough ideas?
I'm gonna reserve my opinion on payments until after all the work gets done.
Well,
So-
And to what time frame it gets done.
gets done, then I'm more eager to pay something, but
How much?
as
money
we
do you-
all know, if you pay them everything that,
No, I get that, but how much money is still being held? Anybody know?
We don't know what the next pay apps are. So.
I mean,
That's
it
what
could be
we're kind of waiting on.
$1,000 or it could be $30,000.
Yeah.
At this time, we'll take a short recess. We will reconvene at this time, and we're joined with, Lori Elam has joined us, and May Hinton from our mental health, Eastern Iowa Mental Health and Disability Services.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having us. We were,
Thanks for making the trip, huh?
yeah, we were over in Cedar County earlier this morning. So we took some very windy roads to get here, but it's beautiful, sun shining and leaves are changing, so it was a nice drive, so. Yeah, so we're here to talk a little bit about the new behavioral health district that Eastern Iowa is now a part of, District 7 on the map. And May Hinton is here. She is my partner in crime now, to talk about the RFP that is out, the Administrative Service Organization, and a little bit about maybe our vision of the new district. And then also to ask you, what concerns you may have, ideas, thoughts, what have you heard, and try to answer as many questions as we can. There's a lot of unknowns still, as we wait for direction from HHS. So, District 7 is now 14 counties.
Huge.
So, yes, yeah, over 1 million people. We're the largest district in the state. And it's our 5 counties from Eastern Iowa. And then it has 6 of May's counties. Right now, May's region is 9. So we're losing 3 of her counties. And then we're also picking up Blackhawk County from the region north of us. And then 2 counties from the region south of us, Louisa County and Des Moines County. So we have a very good mixture of rural and urban. We're excited because both of our regions are service rich. And so we're going to be able to expand out those services even more. And so I'm going to let May talk about the ASO, the RFP. She's been the lead in that and give you more information. And again, if you have questions, please ask. So.
Thank you, and welcome, May, and, you mentioned something in there, Lori, that you said there's a lot of unknowns. So the 8 years that I've been here, there's been a lot of unknowns.
You're right, so it continues, yes.
Yeah. More things change, more they stay the same, right? Yeah.
So good morning. I'm so happy to be here. I actually have a story that I've probably waited about 30 years to tell. So it seems unusual, right? My name is May. I grew up in Northwest Iowa and I went to college at Iowa State. And while I was at Iowa State, I met a boy from Bellevue, Iowa. And I had never heard of Bellevue at that time because I grew up in a very little town in Northwest Iowa. And he lived on an acreage when we were dating. He lived on an acreage south of Ames. And one day I went out for a run and I came back and he said, "How far did you run?" And I said, "Well, I ran about 2 miles." And he said, "Well, how do you know that?" And I said, "Well, because I ran to the corner to the section line and then I came back and that's 2 miles." Mind you, this boy, who's now my husband, 32 years last Thursday, thank you, is a civil engineer. And he said, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "It's 4 miles across or around a county section." And he had no idea what I was talking about.
Yes.
And so he went to the library at Iowa State on campus and looked it up. Jackson County has 1 square 4-mile plat in the entire county. So growing up in Bellevue, he never knew that rule, right? In Northwest Iowa, where I grew up in the flatlands.
So everybody knows that rule, 640 acres in a section. Right?
Oh, so I taught the civil engineer something. That's the only thing I taught him about area and space and that kind of thing, our whole entire married
Don't
life.
mention his first name, we know his last name, but don't mention that, guy. I'll go around.
I've given him enough grief about it over the years. He's like, man, go to the library and look it up. So after college, we lived in Northwest Iowa, relatively near my family for about 15 years. And then in 2006, we made the big move to come over and we live in Dubuque. So been in Dubuque since 2006. Gosh, a long time ago, 1995, when the legislature passed Senate File 69, where they created the MHDS system for counties and mandated that every county have a central point of coordination. If you remember those, if you've been around that long, I was named the central point of coordination in Cherokee County. So we were there, and some of the work that I'm most proud of in my career was the work that I did in Cherokee County. I always had a lot of pride in the services that we provided. Back then it was legal settlement. And so we used to say, I want our services in Cherokee County to be so good that people want to send their people to our county for services. And we moved to Dubuque, and I spent 10 years working for the school district in Dubuque, and had a little tap on my shoulder 5 years ago. And by somebody I know who's on the regional governing board in the East Central region, asking me, would you apply for the CEO job? And I said, no, I really like my job at the school district. And then I got curious. In 2019 was when the legislature passed the rule that the MHDS regions have the responsibility for 13 children's services as well. And that was really the hook that got me to leave the school district and come into the opportunity to have a difference in children's lives, because that's something that's really important to me. So I've been the CEO for the East Central region for 5 years this week. It's actually my anniversary. And we have 9 counties: Benton, Bremer, Buchanan, Delaware, Dubuque, Iowa, Jones, Johnson, and Lynn. So, and as Lori said, we lose 3 of those counties in this new map. We lose Bremer, Benton, and Iowa counties. So we are busy working with them and prospective administrative services organizations for what you see on your map, our District 3 and District 6, to make sure that our folks in those counties are taken care of as they transition over to new districts. Let's see. August 1st, the map came out. So you've seen the map, you've seen it before. I also handed you
I've seen a lot of maps in the last year, but not one like
Not this
this.
one.
I know, right? Until the day of. Yeah. Yeah. Lori and I, we've done this now in, I think, 13 of our 14 counties, and our joke is at about 8:20 that morning, my first text was to her. And when that map came out, and I was like, oh, girlfriend, we have to talk.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like right away from when the map came out, I had heard rumor on, it feels like that was a Thursday, or maybe it was a Friday. I had heard rumor on the Thursday, that was Friday, that the map that was coming out was going to be brand new, something we hadn't seen. And then sure enough, yeah, it was brand new when it came out. So immediately, we knew that we wanted to work together to move the system forward. HHS has given us a timeline that you see across that 1-page summary of the RFP. The map came out August 1st. They initially had said that in their transition plan that they had released on July 1st, that the RFP for the administrative services organizations would be released September 30th. And then they surprised us, and they released it on September 1st. So we had a little bit more advance notice than we thought we were going to about the scope of the work of the administrative services organizations. As Lori said, there's a lot of unknown. That the governor made her announcement on January 10th during the edition of the state address that she was going to be combining the 11 MHDS regions and 19 service areas for substance use and just 7 behavioral health districts. But we didn't even know what those were until August 1st. And then, of course, throughout the legislative session as the bill was being debated and ultimately passed, and then the governor actually signed it in the East Central region in Cedar Rapids at one of our providers there, which we were so happy to host her, because there's a lot of good things in the bill. I mean, it shakes up our administrative levels, right? But there are a lot of good things in the bill. The East Central region has lobbied for the last 2 years to combine substance use and mental health policy and funding. To be really honest with you, I went to a national conference about 3 years ago, and I found out how woefully behind Iowa is in truly integrating care, because many people experience both a mental health concern as well as substance use issues. So it's something we've really been actively lobbying for, as well as putting some measures into place that we can. MHDS regions right now, according to the law, may not pay for substance use treatment. But there's a little bit of wiggle room for us as far as like recovery. We support peers and prevention. So we've done some work around that, but we can't pay for treatment at this point. We do know that as of June 30th of next year, the end of this fiscal year, the MHDS regions will cease to exist. The Iowa Code Chapter 225C that governs our work sunsets. And then on July 1st, 225A will become effective, and that will be the work, the code section that governs the work of the administrative services organizations. Ever since HHS announced that there would be these administrative services organizations, we in the East Central region had an intention to apply. There were many conversations that I had with my staff in these last 8-9 months about, is that our only path? I mean, Lori and I would go to statewide CEO meetings and other CEOs would talk about, like, we all don't have to be the ASOs. We could create this niche and then everybody else could contract with us. You know, like, for example, justice involved services. Like, we all don't have to try to be the ASO. And I really thought about that. And I went back to my staff twice and said, what is it that we do well? Do we have a niche? Like, what do we do well? And maybe that's our path rather than, you know, our intention to apply to be the ASO. And we did a lot of soul searching. And in both times that we had that conversation, we said, what we think we do well is administration. The East Central region is the largest region in the state. We have 608,000 people. We're the largest. Polk County is next with about 470, the current MHDS regions. So because of the size of our region, we've had to, you know, refine and do administrative services well, just to make sure that we have a cohesive region and that we have equitable access to services across our region. So we've been proceeding since the spring with, yes, we'd like to be the administrative services organization. And this map came out, Lori and I started talking, texting, Zooming, or being in person almost every day with one another. I think last week was our first week that maybe we didn't see each other all week. I had emergency surgery and that's why. Otherwise, we were scheduled to go to Des Moines County. We had to cancel it because I had surgery. So other than that, we see each other quite often. With the process of, so the RFP came out on September 1st. It's due Friday, October 18th. There is space in the letter of intent that we had to submit for one organization to be the applicant. The law says that there are two types of applicants who are eligible, an MHDS region or a nonprofit organization. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. But because there's only the opportunity for one, she and I talked and we decided that the East Central region would be the official applicant. Just again, because of our size and our staff capacity that have been doing this work, that we do the administrative services, we think pretty well. So we've submitted officially as the East Central region applying for the ASO, but knowing full well our intention is this partnership to work together. I had a committee of my board to discuss and to kind of vet whether or not we should remain a 2080 agreement. That's how MHDS regions are organized right now, or if we should become a nonprofit agency. And I spoke with our lobbyist a couple of times. I spoke with our attorney a couple of times. Lori joined me on one meeting with our attorney. Our subcommittee met. I met with the executive directors of the Community Foundation of Greater Dubuque and the Greater Cedar Rapids Community Foundation, because they know nonprofits really well and they could give me advice in that area. And then the subcommittee of the board met again. Lori was unable to attend, but a member from Scott County attended that with my subcommittee. And we have decided that we're moving forward as a 28E unless we're asked otherwise by HHS. So we're county centric, you know, and we always have been. The MHDS system has been county centric for 29 years. And that's how I've come up in my career, and that's where my loyalties are. And so we would like to remain county centric, but of course, if we're selected as the ASO and HHS asks us to do something differently, we'll be flexible with that. But right now, that is our plan. So we will rewrite the 2080 that you all have as part of the Eastern Iowa region, and we have in the East Central region to make it a little bit more comprehensive. So, proposals due Friday. we will find out November 18th or 19th if we are invited to give a presentation on November 20th or 21st. So they're giving us 24 to 48 hours notice if we will be invited to do a presentation. So that
You're
means.
preparing that presentation as we speak.
Exactly. Yeah, the proposal's going in on Friday. I'm taking Monday and Tuesday off. Wednesday, I'm starting work on the presentation. Lori and I have already talked about, okay, here are some ideas, like, because we don't have a lot of guidance on what, and maybe that will come yet, but about what our presentation will look like, but we've already started writing down some ideas because, yeah, we need to be prepared because we will have short notice. Presumably that finalists will be the ones who will be invited to do the presentations on November 20th or 21st. And those will be done via Zoom. HHS has announced that they will notify the selected administrative services organizations on December 30th. The law gave them a deadline of December 31st, but they're giving themselves a deadline of 1 day sooner.
Well, once they assume-
Maybe they'd like to take New
We're gonna
Year's
start on the
Day,
first.
or New Year's Eve off as well.
Well, the
So
presentations are not open to the public, though, correct?
I don't believe they will be.
Who are you gonna present to, May?
I don't know. We don't know.
You wanna practice on us?
Sure. Well, here's the funny thing. Thank you for asking that, because here's the funny thing. In the RFP and attachment D, there are two statements that gave us great pause. One of them says that we may not consult with any other bidder or use a consultant to develop our proposal, because that would prevent competition. This is a state procurement process. And we may not share the content of our proposal directly or indirectly with any other bidder because it might prevent competition. And it was really hard for me to accept because I work for county government. I'm used to transparency. And so we may not share. I can't come here and say on page 12 of our proposal, this is what we wrote. We can't share that because a potential competition might
We'll
be
use
on
it.
this.
Don could be applying to that.
Well, I know Don's not because the list is out, but that doesn't mean that unless Don works for somebody that I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just curious because our Human Service Council meeting is November 21st
Oh,
in the morning.
oh. Maybe
Maybe you're proposing
presenting to
I
them,
mean, the
yeah,
first time they really shared anything with us.
yeah. Yeah, we don't know who the selection committee is, so I don't know, and if we're invited to do a presentation, perhaps Ben will know who we are presenting to, but I don't assume we'll know that before 24 to 48 hours
People
before.
posted on that, yeah.
Yeah, we definitely will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of work to do, whether we're named as the Administrative Services Organization or not, right? Because that we as MHD as regions cease to exist next June. And one of my main concerns, my board, my staff and Lori's as well, because we've had these conversations, is that people continue to receive services and that providers still get paid. I mean, really, that end user, the people who are receiving services should see no difference from June 30th to July 1st. And so it'll be my priority, if we're named the Administrative Services Organization in that time period between January and June, that we get ourselves established, we get that 2080 completed, that we have our contract authority stood up, that we have all of our staff in place, and so that everything can just flow from one fiscal year to the next. We're not named the Administrative Services Organization. It's still my priority that people get services and providers get paid. So we will be good partners to whoever is selected to make sure that it's a seamless transition.
Well, I really appreciate that you guys are working together and joining forces here, and it sounds like a real army to contend with. I mean, I do appreciate that, and I know Lori for a while. I don't know, May, I guess, we should have bumped into each other. I don't know if Dan is the other parties, I don't know, but.
That's my husband.
Okay, so
Yeah,
then we.
and he did some work here.
We're
when I was
working
there
together
last
on
year. That's all right. Yeah, he did some work here in Coconut in the last couple of years, quite a bit of work, so, yeah.
No. So, no, I really, it's a situation there's a lot of unknowns, and what do you prepare for, and how do we get upper hand on it, I guess?
Yeah. You know, in our region, I don't sit still very well, and so when we kind of had the final legislation, and even a little bit before that, because we started in April, I had my staff create what we called an interim plan, and we started putting together information and, you know, like, what data do we have that will show that we're the best candidate. And one of the things that we identified very quickly is we need to listen to the people. And so we hosted a series of focus groups: law enforcement, healthcare, education, substance use providers, traditional providers.
For lawmakers to understand. Sorry.
I don't think any attended, but they certainly, they were open meetings, yeah. And then we also had the commitment that once that map was out, that we would replicate that process. So Lori and I, we've had
31 extra meetings in the
Yeah.
last 4 weeks that we've
So-
added to our calendar.
yeah.
But it's all been very positive,
Yeah.
you know, it's meeting with all of those stakeholders and getting out to every single board of supervisor group.
And I suspect
it's-
they're getting positive feedback to them. Yeah.
Everyone has been really supportive.
Well, you know, I mean, I'm looking at the map, and of course, it's not something that we've seen before, but I kind of like it. I mean, I like the general area.
Well, I would guess I've been a supervisor for a little less than 2 years right now. And one thing I was gonna echo that Mike said is, hopefully we can bring some stability to this,
Mhm.
because this seems like shifting sand. Every time Lene and Jack would come here, it's a whole different outlook. It's a whole different horizon. It's all different. If and when you get the chance to make your presentation, I can't believe they wouldn't be sold, but the confidence and the presentation you made here, to me, would sell it far beyond anything I think anybody else can, and it brings, so that's reassuring for us, because again, down here, you know, it's just, it's been interesting, so.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's certainly a lot that's gonna happen in this next year, but I mean, like, we're ready for it, and we've got a lot of good people working on it. I mean, like, Lori and I had a joint meeting with all of our administrative staff on September 30th. The week before, on September 26th, we had a joint regional governing board retreat, and Jack was able to join us that day. So we got the East Central Region Governing Board, the Eastern Iowa Regional Governing Board, and then we invited representatives from Des Moines, Louisa, and Blackhawk counties as well. Just like, how do we move forward, right? This is the map that we've been given, and so let's make the best of it and move forward with it.
And we had great feedback from that meeting, the joint board meeting, and, you know, one of the comments made by one of the supervisors were, I'm so glad that you and May are working together. And so, you know, a lot of positive feedback that together going forward, and our main goal is to make sure citizens get the services they need, regardless of what it is. You know, we just need to make sure we have services available, so.
And it's been a real plus because May's been coming to our regional governing board meeting down in Davenport. And so we've gotten a chance to meet her and hear her and appreciate her.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, like Don said, I feel really confident here, just sitting here listening, and we've had the really great opportunity to have Lynn on board with us for years and years. And now we really like Lene also, so we don't want to hire her for a year, you know.
Right. Yeah. We're definitely going to need Lene
So-
going forward.
And just listening to the meetings that I've zoomed in on, it's like, I think we got a good group going in there, blending together well, so.
Yeah.
And
And
we can keep
Right, going
turning
forward.
away and helping our citizens that
Yeah.
need help.
I've been attending May's governing board meetings as well, so both of us have been back and forth and getting to know her board, getting to know her staff. And that's been a real positive, and she's got a great group of administrative staff, so.
We have a lot of good ideas, and we'd like to be able to have the opportunity to put them into practice. So we'll let you know on December 30th.
We'll see
Yeah,
what kind of
yeah,
Thanksgiving.
let us know about the presentation and how that works, or how that's set up. and-
Yeah.
It's something you can jump in and listen to, it'd be interesting, I would guess, but yeah.
Yeah, once we know that
Or we can sabotage the other somehow. Always looking for an edge.
Not during the meeting, Mike, not during the meeting.
We're gonna talk about that later.
Not on air.
Thanks for a reason.
Is there
No.
anything that you are looking for in terms of the administrative services organization, or that you have concerns about, or what you would like to see happen for Jackson County?
Stability.
Yeah, May, I guess it's one of these things too, Jack's been involved since I've been here and to me, the changes that were in the last 8 years were mind boggling, so I don't know how you keep up with that. So I just kind of go, okay, but yeah, I mean, I know the big thing to me is like the issues that the law enforcements are dealing with in behavioral services and the schools. I mean, it's disturbing. My wife is a para and it's disturbing, but she comes home every day with. I mean,
In 2020, I led the East Central Region Governing Board through a strategic planning process, and we have a 5-year plan, and wasn't that foresight? Because it will sunset at the end of this fiscal year. But anyway, we identified that we have 5 big goals, and one of them is effective partnerships. And within that goal, we specifically call out healthcare, education, and law enforcement. And I've always said, if we do what we do well, provide mental health services, those partners can do what they do well, right? Teachers can teach, law enforcement can uphold the law, healthcare can treat people's medical conditions if we do what we do well. And so we've spent 5 years investing in those relationships and in services in order to help those groups. And then when HHS started the discussion about the realignment, and language in the RFP talks about healthcare, law enforcement, and education, and I was like, hang on a second. That started in our strategic plan. It's not a unique idea necessarily, but those 3 very specifically we drew out in our strategic plan.
And we've talked about that for years when Jack was on the board too, I mean, and they come up with these plans or these ideas, but they got to be implemented and they have to be sustainable. So we don't have once you got to have the staff to implement them for one thing, for sure. And then, and sustain them, you got to have the funding. So, or both, one or both work together. So, yeah, I don't have questions because I don't know. Yeah, but I sure appreciate you guys working on it. I know that.
Yeah, thank you.
So, any other questions for May or Lori? Well, we sure appreciate you out on a road trip today and,
Yeah.
hope you're, I don't know where your next meeting is, probably 2 hours from here.
No, actually, I think we're done with meetings this afternoon.
Is your office in Dubuque, right?
I live in Dubuque. Yeah, my office is there. It's an easy drive.
Yeah, no, that's stopping it, skipping and jumping, yeah.
Cool.
But we sure appreciate you coming. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Guys.
Jack or Lene, do you have anything you want to add or we're good?
We're good.
I'm just happy that we have Lori and May helping us
Yeah.
and getting
I
things
agree.
organized. It's been very interesting.
I bet it has. Okay, with that being said, are there any other boards or commissions that anyone would like to report on? I don't really have anything else anything else for the board?
No, just, remember the public hearing for,
Monday?
Monday for the wind ordinance, so those that are interested.
So I know we've received several emails from concerned citizens, if you will, or taxpayers. And I think we all certainly intend to be there if possible. Again, it's the zoning commission's public hearing, so it's not like we're gonna be involved. Well, we will be involved, but so it's their public hearing and we certainly have the ability to have more. We'll see how this transpires. And public input, so we're looking for public input.
The current draft is out there, so please go onto the website and read that.
Take a look.
And
See the hard
I've
work
read
they've
it
done.
and highlighted and wrote my notes, and so I hope we all can participate and get some good feedback.
Motion adjourned.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Aye opposed? Motion carried. Meeting adjourned.